Yeah, I was in a bar. Oh, go figure. Rick Gilmour in a bar. I was in a bar the other night, and there's this girl I know. Let's just call her the pretty little broken thing. And she's a pretty little broken thing. I don't know how else you can put it. With her steady parade of different boyfriends. And she was in there with this dude who was clearly unhappy because she was drunk. And he wanted to leave. No, she's staying for another beer. I don't know how old she is, early 20s. Very thin, pretty broken. She gets up and goes to the bathroom, and she's gone for about 20 minutes. She can barely make it to the bathroom. Now, 20 minutes later, she can barely make it back. And she has to walk by me to get to the other end of the bar. Now, I think she likes me. I don't know. But she's got a boyfriend, right? And he's clearly unhappy anyway. So I says, do you think you can make it down to the other end of the bar? She says, no. So I walked her down there, and I almost fell over trying to hold her up. Because she was wobbling around so much. You think that guy got off his chair to come meet me halfway? And she keeps bumping into me. And I mean bumping into me and giggling. As I walked back after I deposited her on her chair, poured her onto her bar stool, I walked back, and a buddy of mine goes, I think she's sweet on you. I says, yeah, well, she's got a boyfriend. And she's broken. She's a pretty little broken thing. 578-1100 in the classic 216 area code, broadcasting live from the cultural void of Independence, Ohio. Talking this, talking that, talking cars, talking whatever you want. Toll-free 888-723-WTAM. Talking about that big Oldsmobile, the farewell to the Oldsmobile show I've got coming up at the Big Boy Restaurant at West 130th and Brook Park on June 19th at 5 p.m. Get there early and get yourself a spot. Any year, any make Oldsmobile, just fine by me. And if it rains, well, we'll talk about it. We'll tell you it'll be a week later. But mark your calendar for June 19th at 5 p.m. And we'll take it until about, I guess, 9 p.m., something like that. Ed, you're on the air. Hello, Ed.
Oh, hey, Rick.
Yes.
Yes, I have a question. The ghoul told me to ask you because you know all about cars. What does 442 stand for?
Are you Ed from Beware Video?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm not, but I do know Ed from Beware Video.
Oh, okay. When you mentioned the ghoul, I thought maybe you were Eddie.
Well, no, we were at a taping once when I was at a taping at when he was still on television.
See, now, I can't tell you for sure what it means. You know the ghoul was at my wedding?
No, I didn't know that. He didn't say that.
Yeah.
I got to know him. He's a nice guy.
Let me tell you a little story about he was at my wedding reception. And, you have to go around from table to table and, shake everybody's hand and thank them for showing up and all that. Well, they were way in the back with my parents' neighbors. And I walked back there, and he's picking up people's throwaway, those throwaway cameras that they take to weddings so they can just take the pictures. And he's like taking pictures of his armpit and taking pictures of like a coffee cup. And he goes, isn't it great how they hand out these cameras at weddings just to take pictures of? And I was thinking, wait until these people get their film developed.
Well, the guy can't have all his marbles. He's been doing that for 33 years.
Well, that's true. In fact, if this were Safe Harbor, I could tell you a great story about him. Yes.
I was told that it stands for 4-speed quad dual exhaust.
That's what I'd always heard. It was 4-barrel, 4-speed, dual exhaust.
That's what I wasn't sure if that was true, so I figured I'd ask you.
And I don't know exactly. I mean, I've heard people say, no, it stands for 400 or, I know what GTO stands for.
What does that stand for?
Gran Turismo Omologata.
What was the last word?
Omologata.
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 You'd have to ask Mike Trevisano what that means because it's Italian. I don't know. Gran Turismo Omologato or Omologata. Omologato Misto Rabato. I don't know. I mean, anyway. But because there was a Ferrari GTO. Before there was. Before there was a Pontiac, or around the same time there was a Pontiac GTO. And I don't know whether Pontiac swiped the name or whether it just seemed, who knows. But anyway, Gran Turismo Omologato. It means Grand Touring Automobile. I don't know. Automobile in Italian is automobile, so I would assume that Omologato Grand Touring at its finest. I don't know.
Well, that makes just as much sense as anything else.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, in the big scheme of things. You know what's funny is the new GTO, to me, has got everything but looks.
I don't like it either. I don't like the new one.
Yeah, it's basically an Australian GM of some sort, with a V8 and rear-wheel drive, and it's fast, and it handles great, I guess, and it stops fine, and it looks like, I don't know, it could be an old Silhouette for all that. You know what I mean? I mean, it could be anything. It could be, who knows?
Right.
It could be it could be a Buick LeSabre.
That's true.
It could be anything. Which I guess makes it a sleeper, because you'd pull up next to it and think, what's this thing? I mean, it could be a 1995 T-Bird. It's got the same styling.
Oh, a friend of mine has a 64 GTO, and that thing is gorgeous.
Yeah, I liked 65 was my favorite year.
Yep, it is. Yes, it is.
It's a very pretty car. I had a 68 that I got for $100. A friend of mine decided him and his buddy were going to run away to California, so they stole their mother's GTO. They made it from Fairview Park to Westlake. So I went to his mother's house, and I says, that car's been sitting there forever, and what are you going to do with it? And she says, I don't know. What will you give me for it? I said, $100. She said, it's yours.
$100?
Yep, so I went there, and it took about a half an hour to get it started with starting fluid and playing around with it, because what happened was the plugs were bad, and it was real cold out. It was 1970, what was that, 77 when we had, remember the huge snowstorm?
That was 77. That was the winter 77, 78.
Right. So this was the day before the snowstorm. It was about 5 degrees out. It was super cold, maybe 0, and that's nothing. But it took forever to get the thing started. And I drove it home, parked it in the driveway, came out the next day, and it was completely covered in snow. And it was that huge storm. So as soon as I could clean the car off, I could only get to the driver's side. I couldn't get around to the passenger side because it was just so much snow. I put 4 spark plugs in it, and it started right away and ran on 4 cylinders. Because the plugs were so bad in the thing, that's why it took me forever the day before to get it started. But I had bought plugs that evening, and then I put them in the next day after, maybe it was 2 days later because it was just so much snow. I remember going to a girlfriend's house. I walked out to the front of my parents' house and stuck my thumb out, and 2 guys stopped in a Ford pickup truck. And they said, where are you going? And I said, oh, man, I've been walking forever. I'm going to 212 in Lorraine. And I had actually walked about 50 feet. And they picked me up and gave me a ride and dropped me off at 212 in Lorraine, and then I had to walk about a mile down the road because they couldn't give me a ride because the road was, you remember how that worked. The road was
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they couldn't even plow them.
That's right. Oh, I remember it, yeah.
And I remember I took that GTO later that winter and went down the valley in Rocky River, in the Rocky River Reservation where the road runs alongside the river.
Yes.
And there were cars down there that apparently got, frozen into the ground. And I drove that GTO down the hill with about 6 people in it, and I couldn't get back up the hill because it had Mickey Thompson cheater slicks on it. And a guy with a Chrysler wagon pushed me up the hill. And I don't know how he got going either, but we got it out of the valley. But I looked, and there were cars just stuck, like the water had actually moved the cars around where people had gotten out and ran or something, and then the cars got frozen into the ground.
How long did you have the car? How long did you keep the car?
Well, I had it, let me see, winter, I had it until at least summer of 78. And it ran good, but it had no second gear.
Oh.
It had that Hurst dual gate shifter, the his and her shifter, but it would shift 1-3. You couldn't do anything. I mean, it just had no second gear. It was turbo 400, and it just had no second gear. It pooped out. So I sold it to a buddy of mine who decided that he's going to rebuild the motor. So he rebuilds the motor, but he takes the motor out, and he can't get the camshaft out because all the lifters are mushroomed. So he had to break things apart to get it apart or whatever. And then I remember him telling me the story of how he was honing it out in his parents' garage, and the hone went down too far and got stuck in the webbing of the block and spun him all the way around the thing in a circle. But he put this motor in, and he put like $800, which was a lot of money back then, into the motor, just for a guy doing it on his own.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't fix the tranny. Leave the motor alone. It ran like a scared rabbit. Put a tranny in it.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it'd go a lot faster if it wasn't shifting 1-3. But, the logic he had, who knows?
That doesn't make sense.
But anyway, for $100, I had a lot of fun.
Well, that's not. I would for $100, I'd buy one. There's no question.
Well, I mean, the hood's worth that much now.
Oh, yeah, no. Your picture's hanging on the wall at Jack's in Westlake.
Oh,
Jack's Delicatessen.
I'm sure it is.
It's hanging there with your autograph on it.
There's another picture of me hanging on the wall there, and see if you can find it.
Office?
It's me, at Jack's Beverage and Deli. There's a picture of me wearing, I think, a red flannel shirt when we were at the Little Station. And a buddy of mine was in there with me, and he goes, you look like you were 14. And I said, well, women will do that to you. They'll age you. I was probably 30. I was probably 33 or 34 at the time. I used to get carded when I was 35 years old.
That's a compliment.
It is, too. But I don't get carded anymore. Divorce will do that to you, I think.
Yeah. Women.
Bankruptcy, divorce, who knows, whatever.
Yes.
I had a girlfriend once who told me, she said, see these wrinkles on my face? I earned every one of them. And I thought, well, okay, I'll take your word for it, lady. Try some makeup. Well, all the lines are lit, so I'm going to move along, but that's...
Nice talking to you, Rick.
You too. Talk to you later.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right. Well, how did that... We went from the 442 to the Ghoul to a GTO to women. See, it's a rich and varied program here. That's all I can tell you. It's rich, it's varied. Ken, you're on the air.
Hey, Rick, how are you this afternoon?
Good, how you doing?
Great to hear you on a non-Sunday night. Let's hope they throw you more bones.
Well, and you'll hear me Sunday night as well.
Oh, good. Hey, I was talking to our mutual friend, and he related and sort of confirmed what you've been talking about, the financial stuff on the air. And you know what? If I'm sure as
you're losing me now. Our mutual friend?
Pisano, your neighbor.
My neighbor. Okay. All right.
Is that who you were quoting before with the Geo?
Yes.
Yeah. The way you said dude, I knew who you were talking about.
My neighbor. Dude. Hey, dude.
But anyhow, as a car collector, have you acquired like any GM repair manuals or those books that they put out, like about each model?
I have, well, not so much that. I have a rather large collection of old motors manuals, the great big ones that cover all the models.
Do you know how much you can get for putting those things on eBay? So much money.
Really?
I mean, I found when my mom moved out of her house, like a 1982 Chevy Lumina catalog or something like that, a GM book about that car, and got like $48 plus shipping costs for putting that on eBay. So if you're in the hole money-wise, I'm sure you got junk that you don't even know people will pay for on there.
Oh, a buddy of mine bought a car off of me, and he's buying another car off of me that's been sitting around for about 25 years in storage in a building. And he looked around and he says, do you realize all the stuff that you have that you think is just junk? I mean, I've got wheel covers for Corvettes. I've got wire wheel covers for old Fords. I've got a lot of stuff. And he says, do you realize any set of four-wheel covers in good condition is worth $100?
You'd be amazed. Have you dinked around on eBay in the motor section and looked at like the stuff that you're talking about?
I did when my computer worked, but my computer was so old and so slow, and then the modem crapped out. So then I got another modem from a buddy of mine because I wasn't going to go even spend the $40 to buy one.
Yeah.
Then I put it in, but my computer will not recognize it, and I don't know what model it is, and I just said, the heck with it, I'll get another box because it was so slow anyway, it was aggravating. I could easily get in my car, drive to Independence, play on the computer at work, and drive home more quickly than I could get onto mine and do anything.
Well, you're probably sitting on the solutions to any financial monies. During my divorce and money crunch, getting back to your last call, the eBay and selling off junk, like literally the TV guide that comes with the plain dealer each week to morons that collect whoever happened to be on the cover and stuff like that. It's amazing what you can do instead of throwing things away. Any car magazine, any car catalog,
I've got hot rod magazines, Car and Drivers, Road and Tracks, automobile magazines from the 70s, 80s, 90s, complete collections of them, National Geographics from the 60s, 70s.
Well, you got to keep those for the pictures of those women.
Yeah, I've got something unusual that my mother thought was worthless. It's a complete set of 1959 Encyclopedia Britannica in the original wooden case.
Wow.
And they're in excellent condition, and she said, get them out of my house, just throw them away. And I said, no. We'll put them in storage, and I'll sell them, because somebody out there would want a complete set of 1959. Plus, I have those other books that came with them, where they would be the year in review, Encyclopedia Britannica 59, 60, 61, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. With the paper covers on them still.
Yeah, the subscription they got you to sign up for after you bought the set.
Right. And the set couldn't have been cheap in 1959. The problem is, there's a lot of information, obviously, that's not in there, but there's a lot of history that's not in newer ones because there just ain't room for it.
And you know what, too? It's been dumbed down, and people, frankly, don't even really use encyclopedias. These kids only search on the Internet. The notion of really going to go do research at the library, I think, is becoming a lost art and skill.
Well, also, a computer probably takes up less space than an entire set of 1959 Encyclopedia Britannica in the wooden case.
Hey, you give me a fact, and I'll bet you it's a heck of a lot faster to grab in volume 13 of that encyclopedia and turning to the page that the alphabetical listing would be than it is to find as detailed a entry on Google or any other search engine at all. Books are so much faster and complete if you know what you're doing and you have them right at your fingertips, which was the need for an encyclopedia. And I often have to print the junk off of websites to be able to access it, to use it the right way. I'm more a fan of having a book than having net access. I mean, it's wonderful, and I love it, and I use it, but give me a book anytime.
My problem is that I'm getting to the age where I need bifocals, so I end up reading over the top of my glasses or taking them off, and I don't want bifocals because somebody warned me. They said, if you get them, you'll fall down the steps. Unless you get used to them. And I said, well, what I really need is LASIK eye surgery and then reading glasses. And I'd be happy with that.
I'm 42 as well, Rick, so I hear exactly what you're saying. Divorce definitely ages you. It popped a few grays out of my previously unspoiled hair. And, you know.
Well, I still look okay. It's all that clean living.
Clean liver, did you say?
No, I didn't say that.
Oh, okay.
Actually, you can probably point out on my liver from Detroit to Cleveland down to St. Louis. There's probably, some kind of a map there. But in any event, yeah, I'm going to have to sort through my stuff because I've got so much stuff. And the only reason I didn't play around on eBay too much was that a friend of mine does that, and he said, well, you have to ship it.
Yeah, but you charge them for it. Like I sell CDs, the CDs I put out at Cleveland bands, the Janglers or Operas, all that stuff. I put right in there how much it is to ship it. $3 within the U.S., $5 outside of the U.S.
Yeah, but I mean, if you've got I don't know, say 100 magazines they want to buy. Well, what the heck does that weigh, and how much is that going to cost to ship?
You specify that, based upon weight, or you say, the winner high bidder must arrange for pickup or local pickup only if you're selling something that's big and heavy and shipping it isn't easy or cost effective. I mean, there's all kinds of different ways to do it, and it's pretty well defined out in the forums where how you list stuff on eBay. Yeah,
because I've got, what do I have? I've got a passenger door and a hood for a 62 Corvair. Well, they've been sitting in storage forever. I mean, I've got every piece of trim and every window and all this stuff for a 63 Mercury Monterey. I've got, just stuff, just hubcaps up the yin-yang, just a couple of police cages for old police cars that they used to put in between the front and back.
Hubcaps would be easy, that's a pretty standard box size that you could just fold it up in a box and ship it out and figure out that, hey, $20 shipping gets it there or whatever it is,
Pair of heads for a 472 Cadillac, 2 drive shafts for a 68 sedan DeVille. You know what I mean? It's just all this stuff. Glass headlight covers for a 55 Mercedes 300 sedan. A complete leather interior for a 53 Mercedes 300 four-door sedan.
No wonder this broad left you.
Because it's all in storage. It's not in my house.
Oh, okay.
I've got a grill for a 55 Mercedes 300 sedan with the spring-loaded star hood ornament that everybody always, for some reason, they would break them off and steal them. Well, this is all complete. The whole grill. And I'm thinking, well, this stuff's got to be worth something. Where do you find a grill for a 55 Mercedes? I mean, probably worth $250.
You should get rid of this stuff. I mean, if it's time for you or you're needing money, you'd be amazed at how you could sell that stuff. And I'm sure there's other places besides eBay to sell that particular kind of thing.
You know what bothers me, though? The reason I haven't done it, yeah, I need the money. No, I hate the idea of when you get in a dry spell, now I'm going to be selling off what to me it's my stuff.
Your treasures.
Yeah, it's my precious possessions. That's my life. Those are my memories. That stuff means something to me more than the monetary value.
I hear you. I'm with you. Some of it you have doubles of, and that's what you sell off first, and then it turns into, what do I sort of not care about? Or,
right.
What's my guiltiest pleasure here, like selling off your Bay City Rollers albums or something like that?
No, I've got a ton of albums that are in perfect condition, too. I mean,
Fortunately, albums... Yeah, unless they haven't come out on CD or they had very intricate album artwork or fold-outs, aren't really worth too much, and usually it's the covers that are worth money as opposed to the records, you know?
Oh, gotcha. All right, well, I got to roll, but thanks.
Great hearing you on a Saturday. Let's, you know, I don't know if you're aware, sometimes I call Kevin Keene and ask him a sports question just to sort of get to the end where I go, how come Gilly isn't on tonight? And then he hangs up on me.
I haven't heard that.
All right.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, yeah, well, you know, appreciate the effort. You know, you can win a backyard barbecue with the Mike Trevisano Show. Party for you and 20 of your friends. Be catered by Shula's Steak 2 in Independence and the Blue Moose Saloon. Small world. I know a woman who knows the owner of the Blue Moose Saloon. In fact, I met her. As our grand prize winner, you'll also get a brand new grill courtesy of Patio Enclosures Incorporated. Special thanks to Mark's and Pierre's Ice Cream. Mike Trevisano Show could be broadcasting from your backyard on June 23rd. Register to win at WTAM.com. Stuart, talk to me.
Oh, Rick?
Yeah.
Stuart. Mayfield Heights?
All right.
I heard you talking about Oldsmobiles before.
Oh, and it's 66 degrees in Cleveland, too. I should have got that in earlier, but now it's almost news time. I should be horsewhipped. Anyway, go ahead.
I heard you talking about Oldsmobiles before?
Yeah, I'm having an Oldsmobile cruise in.
Yeah, I have one. Very rare.
Well, are you a unique 7-cylinder model or something?
How about a 57 old Starfire 98 convertible?
Yeah, that'd be pretty rare.
There's only about 5 left in the state. I had the J2 with 3 2-barrel carburetors on it.
Where in the world did you get that?
I bought it in 71 in Highland Heights. It's raspberry pink. I've been in a movie with it.
Which movie?
Telling Lies in America and Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Museum Parade.
And what's that car worth?
I turned down $70,000 for it recently.
Good God. Something like that. I need something like that. That would solve my money trouble.
I have extra parts for it, too. I picked up over the years for it.
And what did you pay for it? Let me guess. $800.
500.
500. Yeah. Well,
in 71.
Did you have to restore it, or was it pretty?
No, it's original. It's original paint.
How many miles are on it?
87,000. Just turned 87,000.
Well, you have picked yourself a winner, Stuart.
I had the engine rebuilt about 18 years ago or so.
Wow, that's a hell of a piece.
Originally, and I just had my radio rebuilt, too.
Well, why don't you bring it out to my car show?
When is it?
June 19th at the Big Boy at West 130th and Brook Park Road at 5 in the p.m.
5 to what?
5 to 9, something like that.
It's a Big Boy?
Yeah, it's a Big Boy restaurant right at West 130th and Brook Park. If you were coming down, I don't know, I guess if you took, 480 and got off at 130th and you made a left, and it's right there on the left-hand side as you come up to West 130th. You can't miss it.
Yeah, there's about 5 left in the state in convertibles.
I've never even seen one in person.
The color's raspberry pink.
I would like to see yours, so why don't you bring it out?
I got to do a painter did a news article on me back in 2000. If I could fax you a copy of it.
Sure.
What's the fax number?
I don't 57. I don't know. What is it? No, just make a copy and mail it down here to the radio station.
Make it to send it to your attention?
Yeah, just send it to Rick Gilmour, 6200 Oak Tree Boulevard. You know, Rick Gilmour, care of WTAM 1100, 6200 Oak Tree Boulevard, Independence, 4411131. Yeah, that's what it is. All right. More of the program after coverage of what in the world's happening, and we do a little business with you, and I go out and have a cigarette. I'm Rick Gilmour, the thinking man's friend, and this is Cleveland's only news radio, WTAM 1100.
Rick Gilmour.
You know what we gotta do? Toga party. You guys up for a toga party?
Toga! 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 On News Radio WTAM 1100.
I was really up north for a road trip. But then, what are you going to do? We could always have a toga party, then go on a road trip, then take Flounder's brother's car. There's a good question in Animal House. Flounder, or was it Stephen First played Flounder? What was Flounder's brother's name that owned the Lincoln? Chuck? I can't remember now. It's been a long time since I've seen that film. Gee, I'd ask you another trivia question, but I don't have one handy. But I was going to tell you throughout the program. Another did you know? Or maybe a couple. Did you know that no piece of paper can be folded in half more than 7 times? Did you know that donkeys kill more people annually than plane crashes? Did you know that you burn more calories sleeping than you do watching television? Thank goodness. I got this really, really old house, and I had a bedroom in the attic, in the upstairs. Well, to get a king size, queen size, whatever, big bed, you can't get it up and down the steps. Luckily, there's a doorway that used to have a stairway that goes out over the back of the house. Well, that's how you got to put the mattress and box spring in and out. So it's cold up there in the winter. The house was built in 1870. It's cold up there in the winter. The furnace isn't strong enough to go all the way up there. And there's no insulation. And it's hot in the summer. And there's only one window in the little bedroom where if you put an air conditioner in there, it'd blow you right out of the bed. Well, isn't it magical how if people want something from you, like they want, if I'm giving them a bed and a dresser or this and that, oh, you got all the help in the world when they want something, but when I needed something, I ended up sleeping on the couch for a year and a half or whatever. So yesterday, finally, a buddy of mine had some stuff stored there and got him to move a dresser and the bed and box spring downstairs into a room. Oh, it was heaven. I've been sleeping on a couch. Now, sleeping on a couch isn't bad until you realize, gee, I wake up achy every day. I thought there was something wrong with me. Do I have arthritis? Oh, I got back on. I got on that bed, and I didn't get all that much sleep. I don't know, 5 hours or something like that. But I woke up, so refreshed. Well, somebody knows, don't they? Lou, you know Flounder's brother's name was what?
Fred.
Fred,
that was his name.
Now, what was Flounder's real name?
Oh, boy. I have no idea. I have no idea, but I knew his name was Fred. I don't know why I knew that, but I just did.
It seems to me producer Keene knows what it was. Dorfman was his last name. What was
Kent? Stephen Dorfman.
Kent Dorfman.
Yes.
Kent Dorfman. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Kent Dorfman. From now on, you're is it Delta Tau Chi? Was that the house?
Delta Tau Chi. The other guy's name was Pinto.
And I have the National Lampoon story that the movie came from, but we're not in Safe Harbor, so I can't tell you why they called him Pinto. But it wasn't in the movie.
It wasn't in the movie. Well, John Belushi said, why not? That's
right. Well, it has something to do with spots, and I'm not saying where.
Okay, well, I know. You're Clear Channel. I understand.
Well, no, it's not Clear Channel. It's the FCC in general. Wouldn't like it if I used the exact terminology that...
oh, okay.
I mean, it's the middle of the afternoon. There might be children listening. Who knows?
Of course.
And so Kent Dorfman, yeah. From now on, your Delta Tau Chi name is Flounder.
Correct.
Flounder? Why Flounder?
Well, because how large he was. He was a very large man.
Yeah, that was a funny movie. That was my brother's favorite movie.
My favorite movie too.
I don't know as if I could rate my favorite movie. I mean, it might be up there. I happen to think Used Cars was funnier.
The one with
Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell and Lenny and Squiggy were in that too.
Right.
If I can build and install a pacemaker in this man's chest with parts from Radio Shack for $12.95.
But I particularly thought it was funny. See, my brother liked that movie because that's when he was going to college in that era.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
okay.
And I liked used cars because that's what I did for 25 years was sell used cars.
Oh, God bless you.
Yeah. Well, I finally decided to atone myself with the Lord and go into talk radio.
Well, there you go. All right. Well, hey, I just wanted to call and let you know.
All right, thanks.
You're very welcome.
All right. Yeah, well, if you're going to sell used cars, all I can say to you, man, is that's why God created alcohol. I don't know how you go to sleep at night, but that's okay. Tim, you're on the air.
Hey, Gilly, I just wanted to tell you that you got to protect yourself from now on. If you ever do decide to get married again.
Yeah.
My wife and I made a nice little prenup. We will leave whatever marriage we go with no more assets than what we went to the marriage, and all assets will be donated to charity if we get divorced. All assets.
Wow. Well,
I
kept the house. I kept her furniture. I could have kept all her clothes if I wanted to, but I was nice enough to give them back. She pretty much decided that. It involved another dude, and she knew that there was no talking to me about if she was cheating on me, and if I found out, she knew there'd be no discussing it. So it was pretty much over when it was over.
Well, my wife and I have both said we don't believe in divorce. We both believe in murder. And with the prenup, something like that, at that level, where all additional assets will be donated, that, after 20-some years of marriage, you end up with a nickel or two here. You may have a little bit of debt, but you end up with a nickel or two of assets, and that's one way to protect yourself.
I figured I'd never get married again. I'd just find a woman who hates me and give her my house.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's not good to be alone, and it's always
Wait a minute, why not? Why is
seriously?
Yeah, seriously. I mean,
I really and truly believe that most people, left to themselves, become very bitter and very nasty.
Well, I was like
you
that.
Need some companionship of that. You need companionship.
I was. Wait a minute.
The Bible says it is not right. Man is not made to be alone.
Well, back up a minute.
If you want to go to that point.
Back up.
Yeah.
I was bitter before I got married. I've been a bitter, scornful, mean-spirited person for most of my life. How's that?
Well, I'm just saying that I really think most people, they find someone else. They have to start taking care of other people and be concerned about other people. It really helps make them much more compassionate. You see a lot of the people who have never been married and never have family are quite a lot of the times the people who have nothing left to lose. And when you have nothing to lose, there's very little you won't do.
Well,
I mean, it's always the...
Don't bring me down.
You hear about the fanatics. You hear about the fanatics and this stuff.
Don't bring me down.
You don't hear a lot about guys with 6 kids.
He was a quiet man. He kept to himself until one day he took out a shotgun and wiped out his entire family.
Yep.
Well, I'm not going down that route. You're depressing me, Tim. In fact, it's unusual. I mean, being alone has its merits. I gave my dog away. I've told that story. Because I was thinking maybe I'm going to have to sell my house and move into a condo just because of location. Anyway. Plus, it's getting to a point in my neighborhood where I had to take the money and run. Tremont's turning around so much that it's getting to be so big money down there that maybe I can't turn... The problem is I should really stick it out down there for another 4 or 5 years, and then my house would be worth twice what it's worth now without doing anything to it. Yes, King?
ABC just broke in over their squawk box and told us that Ronald Reagan's passed.
Do we have to go to a special report?
ABC will have one soon for us.
And as soon as ABC does, we will go to that special report.
As soon as they do.
So I'm telling you right now that it's been reported by ABC News that Ronald Reagan has passed away at the age of 93. And I'll tell you a Reagan story. Did you know he was president of the Screen Actors Guild for years and would give over 200 speeches per year just to practice up? Just to practice his speech-giving skills. Are we ready now, Keen?
One of the most beloved presidents of the 20th century, the man the media called the great communicator. Ronald Wilson Reagan was always popular, even as a kid growing up in Illinois, where he was known as Dutch.